Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another filler video. While I'm doing my Hanoverians, I thought I came across this the other day. It was just in my, I've got like a pile of books and some sort of like what I call sort of bookcase games off to the side behind me, and I often quite overlook them. Now this particular game it's a little bit quirky, but it's got a unique sort of little twist to it that I really liked. Let me just show you what it is straight away. It's basically called Home Raiders, and I got this from Kickstarter probably about, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's quite an interesting game. The sort of the thing that is probably its biggest plus is that the rules are ridiculously easy. You get a bunch of figures in the box set on the front here, basically the two factions that you get, and the unique thing about this game is that it's basically played in real time. So your table that you play on can be basically any part of your house. So for instance, if you were to play on your living room table for control of your living room, because that's the background to the game, is basically when you go to sleep, these portals open up and out comes these various folk, such as these guys here, which are the new Lilliputtians. They're kind of like, they believe themselves to be sort of higher than the rest of the various folks, and they kind of think of themselves as policing the little portals. And then you got these guys, which are called the Gremilins. Now I'm sure we all had the situations where you go back to collect something which you're sure you put down in a particular place, and that thing's suddenly missing. Well, it could be the Gremlins that have come along and nicked it. So basically, the sort of premise behind this, so theoretically you could be playing for like the living room, and you could have, I don't know, you could play it over like a coffee table and a side table and a windowsill, and you sort of basically have like an objective. So it could be like a set of keys, a battery from a TV remote. It could be anything, because the Gremlins basically love to pick up any bits and pieces and basically botch them together and to make their technologies. And of course the Lilliputtians don't like this, so they're obviously going to try and stop them from thieving. So this is the basic box set, and I'll give you a quick flick through. It kind of looks like a book, and on the back, upside down, you can see these are the figures that you get in the box set, and you can see that it takes about an hour to have a game, and it can be played quite easily by kids. I think it's 8 years plus. Yeah, I'm sure you could probably go a little bit lower than that with an adult. And I'm going to show you what's inside the box. Now basically, when I bought the Kickstarter, I did get a few extra bits and pieces with it, because it was obviously a Kickstarter. This is the rulebook. Whoops, I just knocked over a whole lot of sprues and paint. There you go. Right, so this is basically the rulebook, and you can see what I mean. It's very thin. It's on the back here we have your skills that your various troops and units have, and that's literally the rules. It's literally, I mean, a couple of pages of fluff. Here's the different factions. So you got there's a little explanation of the different spheres. So you got New Lilliput, you've got the Gremlins, you've got Fair Folk, which are kind of like fairies, the Freeloaders, which are kind of like sort of mice and rats, and the Lords of the Dust, which are kind of like these sort of weird Egyptian penguins. And there's one there actually. It's all really well put down. Here's a picture of the fairy people, and here we go. Here's some more of those Egyptian penguins. And that's basically the rulebook. It's literally about 8 or 10 pages. It uses a particular set of dice. It uses sort of like these D6 style dice, and they come in 3 different colours. So you've got your white, your red, and your black, and obviously they have, most characters have combinations of the dice, and obviously the 3 dice are all slightly different powers. So I think like white's the basic, red's the next up, and then black's the most powerful. Then inside we've got this nice foam protection for the figures, so you lift that off. Very few components used in this game. Basically these little tokens here, I can't really remember what's used for which actually. I think these are used as activation markers because there's so few of them, and you had to supply, you did get some, but you had to supply more sort of glass beads, and I think it's one or the other. Wounds and activation markers, that's basically it as far as sort of gaming counters go, apart from the actual character cards. So let me just get those out. These are the character cards, and you can see on here we've got very basic stats, and there's the different combinations of the attack dice. And here we have a character from the newly put, and it's Captain Chefin. And what I'll do is I'll actually get that character out as I sort of come across them. So let's get him out first. Now another nice thing about this is the actual figures are like 40mm, which makes was basically the first time I've ever really come across characters of that sort of size. So let's just move the camera down a little bit and zoom in a little bit. There we go. So this is Captain Shelfin, or Chefin. You can see he's quite a stout fellow. I painted these up in the same colours as what they recommend for the new Lilliputtians. Sort of a very sort of militaristic look. And it's a really nice miniature. They did actually come with clear bases, but I decided to paint them black for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was because I didn't like the fact that you saw the plug where they sort of plug into the base. It sort of showed up too much, and I didn't particularly like it. But that's Captain Chefin. Yeah, Chefin. Next up, we'll go for, now this character. See, these next 2 characters I'm going to show you are 2 of the separate characters that I think I purchased both of them in a 2-pack. It's basically these 2 guys here. These are both the new Lilliputtians again. So we have Sergeant Kirkland and Corporal Balmuth. And wait a second. Done with that. Okay, yeah. And you give you a look at those guys. So you got this guy with a sort of a communicator. I can't remember what this guy's special powers are, special abilities are. And then we've got Corporal Balmuth, who's got kind of a jetpack. And these quite cool sort of wrist lasers. The new Lilliputians are the most technologically advanced of all the races. You can see he's got a jetpack there. Quite cool. I did actually paint these guys, obviously, about 5 years ago, when my painting was sort of developing. You know, kind of. I guess it was like the sort of the turning point from where I was going from like being sort of a, well, what I would call myself a sort of a basic painter to perhaps being like a little bit better. Next up, we've got one of the actual troop units for the new Lilliputians. And these are guardsmen. These are your basic sort of foot troops of the new Lilliputians, and you get 3 of those in a unit. So let's get those guys out. Here they are. I'll give you a closer look. Obviously these are just foot troops, so they're nothing super special, but they are in quite nice poses. So that's one. This is the second. And this is the third. I mean, they're nothing super special, these guys. Not even super special painted really, but they're presentable. Okay, next up we have the elite unit of the Lilliputtians, and these guys are called eggs. Now, I can't remember what that acronym stands for, but I think you get 2 of these guys in the unit, and they're quite cool. Let's get them out. So we have one here, and one here. So here are the eggs. So we've got this guy here. And this guy here. Pretty cool. Okay, next up we have this character. It's kind of like a mercenary, and he was a Kickstarter exclusive. And he's very strange. He's basically like an elephant pirate called Mortimer. So Mortimer the Buccaneer. And I have actually lost one. I think mine actually came without a tusk, so mine has only got one tusk. But it makes him look harder in my opinion. It's like he's lost a tusk in combat. So this is Mortimer. Quite quirky, very chunky miniature. I mean, he's pure metal. And he came in, I think he came in 2 pieces. It would have been 3 if I had the his 2 tusks. And he's got a parrot on his shoulder. I've never actually had a chance to play this game, to tell the truth, which is a shame. I should play it, because like I say, it's such an easy game to learn. So next up we're going to start going into the next faction, which are the Gremilins. I'm going to start with the leader of this particular group of Gremilins, and it's somebody called Spark. I'll find her. There she is. So this is her card. Now the Gremilins are strange-looking creatures. They're kind of... Well, here's the card. I'll show you the card first. So there's the card. Spark is the leader of the faction, the Gremilins. And there she is. You can see I put some red lipstick on her to make her look a little bit more female. But you can see that like the Gremilins are kind of they sort of bodge their weapons and technology together, and they're all tinkerers. They all steal bits of pieces of electronics and technology and batteries, and they tinker bits and pieces together. Next up, funnily enough, talking about tinkering, is an actual character called a Tinkerer. This is one of the sort of more powerful solo characters for the Gremilins, and I suppose you could call this guy a sort of scientist. There he is. Quite quirky. So that's a Tinkerer. Let's put these guys over here. Next up is another Kickstarter exclusive character that came free, and he's kind of strange, this one. This guy's called Raph the Pilot, And he's basically, I think the backstory behind this guy is that he's basically, while doing one of his sort of trips through the portals, came across like a book about the Battle of Britain or something, and he really liked the looks of the British pilots, so he decided to base his look on a British pilot. So that is the card for him, and here is the figure. I think he came out really cool actually, this guy. So that is Raph Pilot. Get a lot more characters in the Gremlins. Next up, we're going to go for the foot troops, the specialist foot troops of the Gremlins. These guys are called Gremlin Technicians. So here's their card, Gremlins Technicians. And here are the 3 characters. I really liked these guys' orange jumpsuits. I think these guys came out great. Such a simple colour scheme. And you end up with a really nice looking little unit of guys. And now these guys' weapons are like sort of electro prods. They like doubling in lots of electric shocks and lightning producers and stuff like that. So that is the unit of Gremlin Technicians. Now next up are the actually we'll do, this was another unit that I brought separately. I quite like the look of these characters. These guys are Gremlin climbers. I really like the look of these guys. They look like sort of like 1960s sort of mountain climbers. So we've got 2 of those. And I'll show you those. So we've got the red top and blue cap version, carrying a grappling hook made out of a paperclip or something. Obviously within the game there's mechanics for climbing and descending, so you can play over multiple levels. Here's the opposite colours, so we've got a blue and a red. And he's got kind of a pickaxe. So that is the Gremlin Climbers. And then finally for I think the last bunch of troops, we've got the sort of the henchmen for the Gremlins, and these guys are called ragmen, or at least one version of them is called the ragmen, and I'll bring them in. So these guys are kind of animated mannequins. Here we go. So we'll bring those guys in and I'll show you the card. So here they are. These are the basic foot troops. They're kind of, like I say, sort of animated mannequins. So let's show you them. I think they're quite cool. There's 1. 2. You can see they're all sort of stitched up. And 3. And that's those. And then finally we have the big boy, the Ragman Brute. Now this guy is kind of unique in the fact that he's quite strong. So like for instance, if they were stealing batteries, this guy could actually carry a battery on his own. And here we have the Ragman Brute. Quite cool. And that is all there is. Like I say, it's quite a cool background to the game. I hope I get around to playing it sometime. I suppose you could call it being placed in a sort of a mountain of unplayed games. But like I say, the miniatures are really cool. It's a really good idea. The background to the story, easy to play rules, and some great looking miniatures. So I hope you enjoyed this little look into this odd little game which you may not have ever heard of. I shall go back to continuing on with my Hanoverians, and I'll catch you all later.